Get 'em.
Welcome, folks. Y'all come on in and make yourself at home. This here, well, this is the Rolling Thunder Podcast, your home for all things Rolling Thunder. This episode is brought to you by Mossy Oak, because everything is better in Bottomland. Kent Cartridge, quality matters, performance counts. Shen Gear, waterfowl gear that is built better. And Benelli USA, dominate the skies.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Rolling Thunder Podcast.
What's up, buddy?
Man, it is hot. We were talking about it a minute ago.
It ain't hot. Listen to this guy.
We're
out here cutting the grass this morning while he's in there
I'm
on the computer
in
and
long
AC.
pants. It's just fine. This is a beautiful late spring.
Ben, what do you
I think it's fairly warm.
Okay, see, 2-on-2. 2v2.
I'm definitely ready to sit on some water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I spent some time on the lake this weekend. It was rather nice.
Yeah, sure
Did
was.
not get to have the fun that y'all had this weekend, though. I wish I did.
Oh, yeah?
Were we supposed to feel bad or?
No.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I'm really trying to figure out where we're going with this. I mean, it's hot, and he didn't get to have a good weekend. Like,
I had a
feel
great
like
weekend.
Good weekend
Woe
on the
is
lake.
me. Like, this is the world's smallest violin.
No,
playing My
what I
Heart
was
Bleeds
trying
for
to
You.
do
Like, give me a
was
break.
segue the three of y'all into telling me turkey stories.
Oh!
Yeah.
Well, I mean, by all means, we got plenty of turkey stories around here.
I'm not saying I didn't have fun. I'm just saying I didn't have as much fun as y'all.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's so hot today, and, you know, I just...
Whatever.
All right, so on today's podcast, we've got the long-lost brother of our favorite Rob Kinney, Dr. Ben Kinney, on the podcast.
What's going on, fellas?
One of the original OG
That's good to be back.
co-hosts of the podcast. He was, as I would say, he was here before y'all, and he'll probably be here after y'all.
I don't know. I sure hope so.
I don't think you're going anywhere.
Yeah.
I remember the first time Ben came in the shop. I hadn't seen his face before. I just remembered listening to the podcast, and I could hear you talking. And I was like, I know that voice from somewhere. Like, oh, that's Ben. I was like, what the heck is going on out here?
Yeah.
You know what I love about Tripp?
What's that?
You know how middle school girls are like all about the boy bands, like, you know, NSYNC and New Kids on the Block. Tripp's like that about Rolling Thunder.
Drink the
He's
juice.
like closet.
Drink the
He's like
juice.
closet boy band fan of the brand.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was reminiscing a minute ago about Rob's voice, and you know, I mean,
Listening to the
Yep.
old episodes.
Every podcast we post, there's guaranteed 2 downloads, my mother and Tripp. So we get at least 2 every single time.
that's right. So in addition to Dr. Kinney, we have world famous trade show Tripp.
Chef Hodges.
And Chef Hodges, and then we have, you know,
But he running
William.
an air compressor.
William worried about the weather, Frawley.
That's me.
So there's only one reason that we would have this weird collection of friends sitting on the front porch. It's your big day, Dr. Kinney.
Yeah, man. This morning I was able to tag out in Tennessee.
Heck yeah! Welcome to the team.
Yeah.
Welcome to hashtag Team Tag
I
Out.
know.
That's right.
It was one. I was telling somebody earlier. This has kind of been the year of firsts. Mm-hmm. Because this is the first time this year. The first bird I got was the first bird off our farm, and for those of you listeners that remember, you know, I hate to say it, probably 2 years ago, we were talking about buying this piece of land, on the back porch in Feathers Chapel.
Yeah.
That it took a while to kind of figure, you know, what they were doing. Are they there? And then trying to quit bumping turkeys and actually have a snowball's chance and of killing one. So after 2 years, we finally knocked the rust off, and I got to actually do it with Rob.
Yeah.
So it was fun to get to do that with him, and then about the next weekend, I got to experience a very traumatic first. I yelped up my first bird for myself and I whiffed.
Hurts every
It
time.
was-
That stings.
yeah. Well, and admittedly, it was a low probability shot.
Yeah.
I was hunting with a buddy that was bow hunting, and I was giving him heck about. I don't know why you insist on making this harder.
Yeah.
So I told him, I was
it's
like,
already
I was
hard
like-
enough.
I was like, all right, fine, you do you, but here's how this is going to go. You're the quiet one. You get the first shot. But if something shows up and you're not ready, I'm sending it.
I'm blessed.
I was like, second, I was like, other thing is, if you don't shoot quickly and one's there, I'm sending it.
Yeah.
And I said, and if I hear a putt, you don't have a chance.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so, we called one up, and I was trying to look at him without looking, and man, he ended up just an old bird that knew what he was looking for.
Yep.
Got to the top of the ridge, took 2 looks around, and then, and that was it. So I'm like leaning around a tree trying to bend a shot string, and that just didn't work.
Yeah.
But so anyway, today was, I had a chance to hunt with 2 other friends that have been good friends of mine for a long time, and they're friends and clients, and just kind of grown up with them a lot.
Yeah.
They've been a big supporter of me, professionally and recreationally, and they've got land that I've hunted on, and so we, my wife and I were coming back from the lake last night. There's this big ag field that we have in our bottom, and I saw this hen just take off. And from where she was to where she was going to go was about 250 yards wide. And I
That's
You're going to have to run that one back.
it's official.
Yeah.
That's the loudest semi truck in the history of mankind.
that we've had.
I mean,
That was louder than Russ starting his truck right there.
yeah. Just
That was
keep rolling.
unbelievable.
There's no need to edit that out. I hope people appreciate how loud that was. We had him on headphones.
It's the first straight piped 18-wheeler I've ever heard.
Jeez.
Glad he didn't hit the brakes.
Almighty.
But,
So 250 yards
So
across
it was
the
just
field.
splitting the whole field, which I didn't quite understand because 30 yards would have taken her to cover. But I'm watching where she's going, and I see, Longbeard out there just strutting his stuff. And for the past probably 2-3 weeks, every other morning when my wife and I come back from the gym, there's 2 birds strutting right there. Well, one morning, it was last week, I text Rob, and I was like, man, there's a longbeard out
Just
here.
as a side note, can we say what a good husband you are? Not only to go to the gym with your wife in the morning.
Well, I need it for me as much.
Yeah, but I mean, just to allow 2 longbeards to live that close to your house for a couple of weeks, you really are. You're a conservationist.
That is
and a
self-discipline at its finest.
Well, I also I knew what was going to happen. That I knew if I struck off after these birds, I was going to have to text my boss and be like, "So they're hung up, man. Can I stay?" So I was trying to avoid, heartache on my part. But so we've been watching them for a while. So I text Rob and I was like, "Man, they're down here again. Like, what do you think?" And he's like, "Well, kind of depends on whether you want to kill a turkey or whether you want to hunt a turkey." And I was like, well,
Sounds like something Rob would say.
Yeah,
Very philosophical. I'd have been like, get underneath him and shoot him in the face.
I was going to say, old Chinese
that was what I
proverb
wanted
over
to
here.
do. And then I was like, oh, well, based on the amount of time that I have, killing a turkey is the only thing I might be able to do. I was like, but you know what? I want to hunt it. I was like, okay. So I'll pin dropped. But so this last night, just to kind of jump back, kind of got out around them stealthily without bumping them and watched them walk straight into the woods. And really in that block of woods that they went into, there's only about 3 or 4 spots that they could roost. And they are all a limb hop from each other. So it was
Knew where
You
they were at.
had them narrowed down.
fairly,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's up on a big ridge, and there's a old log road that kind of runs down it. So I knew, it was probably about 50 yards down the woods and probably about another 50 up in the woods. So we knew. I told him we could get in pretty tight.
Yeah.
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 You're looking up at him.
Yeah. I don't know about that tight, but no, we got up early, made a play, and I'm really glad we got up this early because I also learned another lesson this morning that I've heard you say that you would love to see what TSS could do to a doe.
Oh, yeah. Before I die, I'm shooting one in the face at 35 yards.
I had that experience because we came in and
1,000%.
we had a bunch jump and they took off. And then we sat down, and then right behind us, there's like this little ridge that runs across the whole bottom. And
she went blowing, carrying on down through there. And
no, one of them about tripped on my buddy behind me taping. Oh. It was that close. I've never been that close to a deer that wasn't dead. And you heard her just stomping and snorting, and that went on for like 20 minutes. So he just got tired of it, just got up and started walking back there. And then one of my other buddies fired up a cigarette, and he's like blowing it at him. And I'm like, I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to go. But this is
Did you hunt with Smokey and the Bandit or something?
yeah, it was a rough crowd.
It kind of felt like
Get out of here, deer!
yeah. I look over and I heard,
Take a big drag off the old Marlboro Red.
yeah.
Sit down, Doc, or I'll kill these turkeys.
Sounds like a TK and Mike episode.
It felt like when. So,
I've got a great visual.
and I can tell you, for having been there, it's everything you thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe even more.
I love it.
But so daylight breaks, and probably about 30, 40 minutes, and we're just waiting for gobble time, and you can just all see us like leaning in, and crows are going off, and we're just like,
Just waiting on that first.
all right, any second now. Okay, it's your turn. Like this, nothing. And then
It's that time of year.
oh man, and about 20 minutes, 30 minutes after what they used to do, and my buddy's like, hey, right here. And I'm thinking like duck hunting right here, like in the hole, like, like don't. I'm like, well, can I even? He's like, no, right here. And it's like 100 yards down the way, but I couldn't see it.
But they'd flown down.
Yes, they were on the ground. Hen was out in the field. And he's like, oh, it's a hen. I was like, well, that's okay. That's fine. I was like, if this
the way
plays
this
out,
works here is boy meets girl in front of a gun barrel, we kill boy. Like,
yeah. And I was like,
it's a tale as old as time.
oh, yeah. So I was like, man, I was like, in my head, I'm like, okay, if this plays out like every other day this week, they're going to be right in front of us. They'll have to walk right in front of us to get to where I've seen them strutting every day by 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And 3 longbeards just pile out of the woods as fast as they can after this hen, and she takes 3 or 4 hard steps the opposite direction. And I was like, oh good, well they're here. And this hunt was over before it started. You know, and we didn't do any calling because they're all just kind of acting just
edgy.
Yeah, and it just, you could tell they were not bugging out, but like they just needed a reason. So she starts heading off, and they go following. And 2 of the 3 are strutted the whole time out. You know, they're just blown up, just walking the other way with her. And I was like, oh, come on. That's pretty. I'm glad I got to see it, but come, turn around. Out of nowhere, she just turns 180 and is walking right down the corn road, right to us about 120 yards out. And she ended up hanging up at about 60. And then my buddy, the gobblers are behind him, and my buddy's like, all right, when you're ready. And I was like, dude, like, I know TSS is pretty special. I was like, but I have, like, that is.
Did he have his cigarette hanging out his mouth?
No, different one.
Whenever you're ready, dog.
Yeah, no. And I'm looking at him going, I think they're a little far. And I was like, that may not be for you, but like, I just know that all I'm going to do is shoot a wing at this. This, like, I'm going to wait. I'd rather not shoot, and, you know. But so they kept coming. Well, then she got real spooky for no reason, but she was staring straight at us, and I was like, I felt like we got in there quiet. We even cut some other branches behind us and kind of put it in front of us to make sure we broken up real good. And had a good
but
hide.
y'all did have a deer drive and a smoking party. I mean,
we were just missing beagles. But it was.
Which one is it? Is it this one?
it's been a long time since we've heard that.
Yeah. Now we got beagles.
Rob will be glad to have the beagles back on there.
But so she kind of was. She started going out toward the middle of the field, and I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
And then she turned around and was walking right in front of me, and I realized she was bearded.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, good, we got 4 beards in the field. So the other thing I learned, and one thing I was always wondering about is like, do bearded hens have less of an opportunity with gobblers? Does that like throw them off? And
I'm going to say no.
I don't think it does. Not after what I saw this morning.
There's not enough.
This is definitely a TK and Mike
There's
episode.
not enough.
Felt like
this
one, man.
morning.
I always knew. I'd never asked anybody because I never thought about
I'm
it.
just
Oh,
trying to
man.
think. Let's do some algebra here.
No, well, A
If
plus
men-
B,
I don't
A
think
plus
they go,
B
"Ooh,
equals-
like,
humans,
no thanks."
if a human's brain, a human male's brain, is roughly the size of a miniature basketball, right?
Yeah.
And like 99% of that is captivated with thoughts of love and love.
Well, if you think about it
things,
like
yeah.
that, it
Yeah.
seems fairly
And
obvious.
then if you look at a gobbler whose brain's about half the size of a
Walnut.
golf ball, and half of his brain is consumed with like, how do I not get eaten?
Paranoia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He's
the
not
other
worried
half
if
is
she's
consumed
shaved
with.
or not.
Yeah, I don't think he's worried about if she's shaved or not. No, I'm saying, I totally agree with you, Tripp. No thoughts given to that.
They probably just walk up and go, hey, she's got a mustache like mine.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. And at that point, she just starts putting and just going nuts. Well, she starts putting, and then the deer start blowing again.
Oh,
and I was like, this is fantastic. I was like, I've never hated deer more in my life.
Yeah.
And gobblers are all kind of, come out of strut, and they're all just like looking around, and it's like, oh, God, everything in this field's nervous, including the three of us.
Yeah.
And so she goes off putting and cutting, and then my buddy starts cutting real hard at her. And then those birds just like suck in like 20 more yards quick. And he kept cutting, and all three of them gobbled in our faces at about 40.
Oh, yeah.
And then I could hear the one that I ended up shooting, like he was spitting and drumming. And at that point, I don't know what it is about that whole series, but that's like when I start blacking out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to quit looking at its beard. I need to quit watching what it's doing, and we just need to focus on this bead, on that white
Dude, I
head.
love to hear him gobble, but there's nothing like the sound of.
It's crazy.
Oh,
And I have a hard time hearing it, and the only time I can hear it is like that.
When they're close.
If they're in front of me. Now, if I hadn't seen that bird and he was in the woods, I never would have heard it. But having him out there like that, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
you could see him making the sound, so it helped you hear it,
Yeah.
But so they start coming in even harder, but then they hang up at about 45. And my buddy looked at me and he's like, you need to, and then we heard putt. I was like, bam, and just and just sent it. Well, then my other buddy, the one that started, the guy smoking, TK,
He's still smoking.
Well, he put it out then. He made sure we didn't start a fire.
Oh, that's good.
He popped up because he was laying on his side, so he popped up like he was out of a ground blind, and this other one's running and just boom and buried it.
Wow.
So y'all doubled?
Yeah, we doubled.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
that is
Whoa,
So-
that's awesome.
So we doubled out of the morning, and got some fairly decent, video footage of
That's
the deal.
fantastic.
You can see mine like crumpling like through leaves.
Yeah.
but like it's the perfect window to see it. So
Yeah.
but it was just an awesome hunt, and it was fun to get to share it with people that have done a lot for me. And
Yeah, that's
it's
cool.
just it couldn't have been a more wholesome experience as far as like how it happened.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. All right, so real quick.
That is awesome.
It's May the 15th.
Yep.
How long have you heard people around here saying it's over?
I've said it a couple
I was
of times.
going to say, you said it a month ago, and I said, you're crazy.
Just
Really, as of
started.
last week, I
I said it the day before I shot my second
He did.
turkey.
He was like, I'm never going to kill one. I was like, gosh almighty, we got until Labor Day. All right, but what's it? So just, for reference sake, it's May the 15th. They're still absolutely doing it.
Oh yeah.
But think about one thing he has said from his interaction this morning. You were inside 100 yards from 3 gobblers, and you heard how many gobbles on the roost?
0.
That's weird.
I haven't heard a bird.
I don't think it's weird at all.
Shy of them being in front of us, that's the first gobble I've heard in 2 weeks.
Well, but here's the
I was
thing.
just fixing to ask is how
You
many
know,
times they gobbled this morning.
Think about why.
Yeah.
Is it because they're all together?
He can see a hen.
Gotcha.
There's no need for him to gobble.
Yeah.
He's got a hen right there with him. He roosted with them. Early in the spring, your hens are going to roost as a group. She's probably starting to nest. So she's off by herself. So more than likely, those gobblers roosted close to her because she's been there every day.
Yeah.
And so that's the last hen they can find. But if they're in the tree and they're sitting there looking at a hen on the ground or on the limb, I mean, they might gobble, but they don't need to gobble. I mean,
Right.
the gobbling is a come to me hen. So I guess my point is just, side note, everybody gets to hang in their head this time of the year. Oh, they're not here. Oh, they're,
You got to scout different for sure.
You got to scout different, but they also may still be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just because they don't gobble on the roost doesn't mean they're not there. It also doesn't mean that they're not interested in anything. Because as soon as y'all started cutting at them, they fired up. They started strutting. I mean, all of a sudden, bam, here we are.
One thing that was interesting was that hen that was putting at us. She's actually the one that got those birds to gobble,
right?
Because
Once she went
off up the hill,
yeah,
about 45 away from us. She started cutting.
Right.
Well, then he cut her off.
That's right.
And then that's when it just got greasy.
Right. So it the whole game changed because everybody's now we're
separated.
We went from talking about that group, hen, 3 gobblers. They're all together. They're happy. All of a sudden, hen's not happy. She knows something's wrong. She's putting. So they're alarmed. Deer's blowing. So they're alarmed. All of a sudden, her putting goes to mad cutting. And there's a difference, right? She's going put. She's nervous. And then all of a sudden, she goes from being nervous to being pissed off. And the hens do that a lot. Once they start putting, then they go to
the species parallels with that too.
And gobbler turns into
there's
a girl that wants to be my girlfriend. And so he starts gobbling and he settles down. Next thing you know, you got a dead turkey.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, along with that too, when do you think, talking about how long it's taken, I guess where my head's been at, it's like, how many hens are going to be on nest now? And then you go out really late in the season, the last week, say, how many of those gobblers, there's not any hens that are wanting to breed anymore?
I think that happens in June.
I
really do. I mean, it starts to taper. It's not again, this is not a linear. We tend to think like, okay, February 15th, they start gobbling. March the 1st, they start breeding. March the 28th, they start laying eggs, and by April the 10th, season's over 40.
Yeah.
How many times do you hear people say, it's going to be over 40 even started here?
Yeah.
Well, the truth of the matter is,
it actually really got started, and it stayed good for a while.
Well, I think they start in February.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a biological clock. Every hen's not the same. Every gobbler's not the same. There's an overlap.
Well, and then even caveats in that, like say somebody like a hen got bumped off a nest and she goes to re-nest or something.
Yep.
Like she'll totally different.
So all that's in play. We just tend to think that all the gobblers right now are breeding, and then none of them are breeding, and we tend to think all the hens are nesting or none of them are nesting, and there's overlap in all that, And so,
I mean, that's a good point. I walked up on a nest this second week of the season. And then when I got drawn at that place and hunted out there, we saw a hen with 5 or 6 poults on April 25th.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just, and I've seen, I mean, it's just not a perfect, they're not all on exactly the same calendar. So I draw attention to it to just say, like, man, if you're listening and, you hadn't killed your turkey, go turkey hunting.
Right. Yeah.
Like, is it harder right now than it was 3 weeks ago? Yeah, you dang right.
Yeah.
You better be roosted close to them. Because the truth of the matter, had you not been roosted, if you'd not been close to where they were roosted, they'd have flown down, they'd have been together, and they probably would have never gobbled all day long. Well, they were in the presence of that hen, and you thought they weren't in the world.
A week ago, I hunted that same spot, but what happened was, because it was on a point, and then where we actually set up was in between 2 points that were probably separated by about 180 yards. Mm-hmm. I was playing it so that a majority of our action would be out in front of us when the action that we were a part of today was 120 yards to the left. Mm-hmm. And from that position, you could not see that corner.
Yeah.
So they've been in there for who knows how long doing the same stuff.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So anyways, I say that I wanted to draw attention to that because they do act different. Are they still callable, still huntable, still killable? Yes. But May 15th turkey behavior is different than March 15th turkey behavior. And exactly. we tend to scout in February and early March when season's not open, and we see what they're doing in that pattern, and then we go to those same places mid-May and there's not any turkeys, and we're like, well, they're not. And well, you know what? Of course they're not doing the same. Yeah. The hens have moved towards, but they may not be sitting on a nest all night long. They may not even be laying an egg every day, but they're moving from their, there's a transition that goes from their winter locations to their early spring locations to their nesting locations. And the gobblers are kind of moving a different they go from their winter to spring, and then they might follow towards the nesting areas, but I mean, at some point when they realize that there's no more, Henrietta to be had, they ease on back into their winter groups, and they're, like as evidenced by the fact those 3 gobblers together, they probably haven't all 3 been together real long. Yeah. They probably were together 2 months ago, and now they're, then split up, and now they're kind of getting back together.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's kind of funny you say that. I don't think that they were together very long, because the bird that my buddy shot when we cleaned it, that bird's breast was beaten up. He had on one side 3 or 4 different spur marks, and then on the other side there was another one. And the only reason we knew is we were cleaning him. That spur drove feathers.
Wow.
Into the meat.
Wow.
So it was kind of.
He'd gotten whooped yesterday.
Yeah, that was the one not strutting, by the way. Goes, wonder why.
Anyways, I didn't mean to.
No, that's a great point.
I didn't mean to take that in grandstand. I
think it's awesome.
It annoys me that I hear people say that sometimes. It's like they're still doing it. They're just doing it different.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's just, and you got to change. You got to change your tactics a little bit.
And it's kind of funny the way as you were explaining that and kind of talking about kind of the timetable, in parenthetics, I'm thinking about how my place hunts, and it's taken me 2 years to figure out some of that stuff, but the action on one side early
is different,
is absolutely different, and then where those birds were now
is late.
That is what they have done the last 2 years, and it's almost like the funny thing is like they get closer to my house.
Yep, of course.
And there's more woods there.
Yep,
and and then you see like lone hens sprinkled around, and it's like, well, all right, well, I'm not going in there.
Yeah, if you pay attention to your farm, not just yours, but
exactly.
Whoever's listening, if you pay attention to your farm, they will have places they like to roost in the wintertime. They will have places they like to roost in the springtime at the peak of gobbling. Like when gobbling is the most important thing, they will roost in places where their gobbling is heard the best.
Yep.
And then as May comes on and early June, they're going to kind of be transitioning back towards that winter stuff, or still towards the few hens that are starting to nest. But your hens are, like this time of year, your hens are roosting by themselves close to where they want to nest. They're not roosting in groups of 10 and 12 like they were 60 days ago, you know. And so I guess what I'm getting at is whatever locations they like at whatever times, it's no different than a duck in the river level.
Right.
Like, when the river's at 8 foot, you know where you need to be. And, if the river's at 12 foot, you know where you need to be, because, and so they're responding to the same things around them. Like the places that, this May 15th, I'd be willing to bet you next year, mid-May,
be doing the same stuff.
Yeah, they're going to be in the same area, same pretty close area,
Yeah.
And my farm, like as comparison, I have exactly 0 turkeys in the wintertime.
Yeah, I have none.
They roost up on the bluff 2 miles away.
Yeah.
And you can set your watch by it every year. The neighbor that lives up there sends my dad big winter flock pictures in the middle of February, and he's like, boy, we've really got them this year.
I bet he doesn't have any turkeys when he wants them.
0.
Yeah.
And dad's always like,
I'd rather have that.
Nice to have old neighbor give us the scouting report. And he's like, 12 of them will be down here. And I mean, you can just, and it's like first warm day, here they come. They start trickling down to the bottoms, and they won't leave for, they'll be there until.
How long do yours usually stick around until they go back into their like big flocks?
It just kind of depends on the year, but I mean, truth of the matter is I don't really know, because I quit going the first week of May. I usually start hunting other places, and
typically it's not the third week of the season.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. But I know those river bottoms are this time of year are nasty. I mean, they just get so much buggier, and the water's standing, and so you just can't hardly stand it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just,
No, it's cool. I mean, the thing about that, everybody wants to give up, and instead of giving up, you just got to adapt and figure it out, just like you were talking about duck hunting. I mean, we hunt completely different on water levels and time of year, on pressure and everything. I mean, the way you hunt in the end of November versus the end of January is completely different.
Yeah, and the other reason I draw attention to that is just that one of the things that Ben has said that is, this has been it's been, is this the third week or the fourth week of the season? This is the fourth week of the season. So Ben's not over hunted his place. he's had 3 really quality hunts across 4 weeks, and
on opposite sides of stuff.
And so a lot of people don't like, a lot of people feel this pressure to, bam, I got to kill them the first week. And what you end up doing without realizing is you're putting so much pressure on your place that it kind of ruins it for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And so you put this artificial timetable on your season because you want to hit the road and travel, or you want to, they're going to be done,
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, man, if you control your pressure and you let turkeys be turkeys, and you just take your time. I mean, shoot, here we are, May 15th, and
Done.
you've still got, you still had y'all doubled this morning. Like, I mean, that's like a March 15th double, except there wasn't roost gobbling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I draw attention to that, not to just like tell people to keep pounding on your turkeys late into May. I just say, don't stress about it. Like, don't overhunt your place.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I have been weird about
It's a long season.
for sure.
yeah.
Like,
And you're
I know
benefiting from that.
Kayla gets kind of frustrated with me sometimes, and rightfully so. It's like, well, we have this, but like, we can only do stuff on this. And it's like, because if we're out on it, like,
during this 2 months, do not drive the 4-wheeler down to the creek and do donuts. Like,
I mean, I'm weird about it.
yeah, you should be.
Borderline cagey.
You should be.
But,
And
she
that will get
understands.
better every year. I genuinely believe, like, that the softer you are with them and kind of putting those rules into place, like if you've got 2 this year, good chance you can hold 4 next year. And, I think there's a limit to it, right? But I genuinely think that kind of being really careful, staying out of places, turkeys respond to that even better than ducks do. And like with ducks, we have sanctuaries on people's farms and stuff.
Yep.
And
there's a whole chunk in the middle that I don't even touch.
right. And that's a great idea with ducks.
The next
but,
thing that'll touch it in February is probably fire.
Yeah.
And that'll be it.
But think about it with ducks. They're migratory.
Yep.
So the moon changes tomorrow night, and they may all get up and leave. And that's not – they didn't leave because you ran them out of the sanctuary part, and they don't stay because you never go in there. It's just a good practice. But turkeys are even more so that way. You leave them alone, give them a safe place, and you don't put pressure on them and don't mess with them, I mean, they're going to flourish.
Yeah.
So good for you. That's awesome habitat management.
And that's,
I love it.
I think that, when Rob asked me that question about, do you want to hunt a turkey or do you want to kill it? I'm doing both, but having been on the other side of it and being in charge of and responsible for what gets planted, when it gets planted, when you're bush hogging stuff, when you're not.
Yep.
I'm already like next season and the year into the, and the year after that, trying to figure out like, well, all right, obviously I need some more clover, or, Chufa needs to get in the ground like now. And, I'm just having a lot of fun with that. And this year,
realistically, on a property your size, you can do a lot of things, but one of the only real things you can control is pressure.
Yep.
You can plant food plots and you can burn and you can do all the things you're doing, but nothing for you probably increases your hunting quality
100%.
like protecting who drives through there and who,
Absolutely.
I mean, so good on you.
Trying to keep it so that
I'm jealous.
it
I
can
wish
be
I was your
enjoyed.
neighbor still next door terrorizing the borders of that place.
Well, I won't tell you what opening
Trolling the
morning
fence
sounded like.
line.
I know what it sounded like over there. I wasn't listening to it.
Yeah. No, it was what you remembered.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
But
That was a heck of a spot.
That spot was called a zoo, by the way.
Oh, is that the zoo?
Yeah.
Okay.
called it that?
I've heard the stories about it.
Oh,
I've heard stories about the zoo.
that was as pretty of a place. That still stings.
yeah,
I wish I'd have just bought it.
That place is set up to hunt turkeys, though. Like,
No, that place is set up to kill
well,
turkeys.
yeah. Like, it's a trap.
There are no square fields, no round. Everything is little S
Yeah.
curves and little.
yeah,
It's wild.
yeah.
But anyways, good for you, man. I'm really happy for you, and
I appreciate it, man.
pretty cool to see.
Well, it's kind of fun hearing all the stories, and like when we, I was first on the podcast. There were times I'm like, well, I really don't have anything to offer with my N of 1 turkey kills. It's like I haven't still harvested very many birds at all by most people's standards, but
You know more than you did 2 years ago.
absolutely. And
Yep.
then hearing stuff like when you guys are talking, and it's like, all right, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Start putting stuff
Now I
together.
know what we're going to try next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That's
just
the
not
coolest
being
thing about
afraid to
turkey hunting,
make
though.
mistakes is kind of
Yep.
where I've gotten. And it's like, all right, well, I'm 36 years old now. I'm hardly old, but like,
Time to learn.
I'd rather ask a stupid question now
Yeah.
and learn how to do it than be 45 and
Yeah.
still not know how to
Yeah.
do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like, I don't care about sounding cool or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I'm just going to get it out now.
And I still think that's one of the coolest things about turkey hunting is if you will let her, she will teach you.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Drake and Riles.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
look at. I mean, look at Rob and you, and I mean, I can think of bunches of people. It's like you can take somebody and show them and teach them a few things, but
you just got to be tortured.
There's no better teacher than time on the job.
Well, and by
Punching that
yourself,
time
too.
clock is going to be
Right.
the best way to learn.
Yeah. Right.
And you're always going to have a losing record against turkeys. You'll always have a losing record, but
I don't
feel
know,
like-
Spence looks like he wants to fight you right now.
you're right. You're right.
I feel like you can hear
The honest
stuff from other people.
will have a
exactly.
You go on streaks where
Yeah.
they take
Oh, you
the
go
ma-
on
they
streaks
take
where
the
you
males
could,
on the
you
chin.
on top of the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad it's over for me because it's like I want to go into it being like, that was a good one versus like,
Yeah.
I got you. Because I know that that's not going to be the case.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I kinda
possessing
wish I
them.
could still go.
Toxie said one time, possessing them becomes as much or more fun than actually killing them.
And
That's what I hear in your voice and
Yeah.
just about your place is like knowing that you got them.
I can have more fun
For a
looking
couple
at trail
weeks
cam
and-
pictures of stuff that gets sent to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to just disable it when I was at work because I just got useless. And my boss would be like, "What'd you get? What'd you get?" So we'd sit around the coffee and be like, "Wow, look at that!" But you know, and it's just I don't know, it's just fun, and sometimes it feels like I'm just tinkering and piddling and other stuff. But I mean, I feel like it's very goal oriented, and it's been a blast.
That's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. Well, Tripp, tell us
Yeah.
about you're not on the podcast for your looks.
None of us are.
I was kind of looking around.
You're clearly here because I didn't say I was here because of the looks.
As he nods his head, did you
I own
guys
this
hear
place.
that?
I'm here because I invited me.
You know, there's a reason why there's radio announcers and podcasters and not on the front of the big screen. I guess that's why we're here.
So why are you here?
Well, I had probably the shortest turkey trip I've ever had in my entire life.
Total of.
I have no clue the amount of hours, but less than 24.
Oh wow! What state?
We flew out from Memphis and to Colorado, and so yeah, we were hunting Colorado, and I kind of thought that if it got hopeful that it happened fast, that I might hit a few more states, but man, I was wore out. I left Thursday night after work and landed in Colorado at like 1:30 a.m. Friday morning. Went to my buddy's house and
So you successfully got on 2 planes.
I actually had
Was
to,
one of them out
All
of
by
Memphis?
himself.
Can I just say this is one of those parenting things that really gives you a warm spot in your heart?
Let me see if there's
We got a
some
round of applause on there?
Here. That's what I'm looking for.
Because the last time Tripp flew, he missed 3 flights and managed to spend more time in the Las Vegas airport than you did on this entire trip.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is
Why'd you
this
fly?
is baby steps
He
of
does it.
growth.
That's the problem.
I'm really,
Yeah,
really.
I mean, I could hear Spence in the back of my. So I'm in Memphis, and my flight gets delayed by 52 minutes, and I'm like looking at my
Connection.
board connection flight. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna miss this thing. I'm like, I can just hear Spence talking to me in the back of my head the whole time. So I went and talked to the boarding agent. I called American Airlines, and sure enough, I got to Dallas, and I had 14 minutes from when that plane hit the ground to get onto my next plane before the doors closed. So I called the folks before I left Memphis, did a dead sprint, finally get there. I get to the door with like 2 minutes to spare, and they're like, you didn't have to run. We were waiting on you. You already called. I was like, well, anyway.
I wasn't going to give you a chance to leave me.
Yeah. So, man,
And your stuff got there?
I carry on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My shotgun was already in Colorado. So anyways, it was real bad rain all last week in Colorado, kind of from the middle part to the end, and I had my buddy roost the birds that Thursday afternoon. So I knew exactly what tree they were sitting in Friday, and it was looking like bad weather, but his piece of property was only, I want to say it was like 7 acres. Like, it was super, super small. But the birds were roosting there, and they'd fly down there, and then they'd work off. So I was like, well, we're going to have to get in there and just deal with whatever happens, because when they get off that, I don't feel like sitting here for another 12 hours for them to come back, you know. And we could have hit some public ground, but I didn't know anything about it, so it would have been more scouting than anything. So anyways, it was raining Friday morning, and we get up early.
He watched them fly up Thursday night.
He did, yeah.
So you knew what limb they were on.
I knew exactly where they were at, yeah. And so tells all this time, Spencer told me to sit under the tree that they're in. So that's exactly what I did. I got out there. We had to sit in waders and a rain jacket, and I literally sat 50 yards from the turkeys. And from the turkeys, there's like 45 turkeys in the tree. Like I was passing
Holy
time by just
cow.
counting them. Like it was unbelievable. And so
This makes me so proud.
it rained on us, and it wasn't like sprinkling rain. Like it downpoured on us for 4 hours. And
Well, after daylight.
yeah, no gobbles, nothing.
And they just stayed on the limb.
Just
getting
crinkled
poured
up,
on.
just like an old man, just kind of, looked like real shivery cold, and kind of felt bad for him.
I'm real proud of you for not just getting up and going and shooting one off the limb and just like, you know.
Definitely could have.
Oh, I know. I mean,
like
it would have been a
squirrel hunting.
cupcake. I'm just saying. I'm proud of you for.
Tripp doesn't strike me much as a limb lifter.
Nobody envisions limb lifting, but if you have to sit there in a thunderstorm for 4 hours,
Watching 45 turkeys.
I'm just saying. I
In
mean,
range.
with their head under their wing, like, come on. I'm proud. I'm just throwing out a compliment. I'm proud of you for
Catching your
waiting
flight.
it out. Yeah, catching your flight, getting close to the roost, and then waiting it out. All right, so
We sat there, and I mean, it when I say it rained, it rained, and we were actually on the Platte River was right behind us, and as much as it rained that whole time, the river was out, and like the tree I was sitting on, the river came out to like 5 feet from that behind the tree, and they're usually like 50 yards. Like it was out, like bad. So anyways, because the river was out, these turkeys could only land in like a 20-yard section without landing on the river, or flying over the river. And I don't know if they could have flew. I mean, it was big. And so I was just like, well, we're going to sit on this tree, set up right here, perfect. So it rains on us. The rain finally stops, and I'm like, all right, get the gun up, get ready. Like, they're going to do something here soon. Well, then it's like 15 to 18 mile an hour wind gusts, and it's just windy. Now I'm shivering cold for real.
You look like that turkey.
Yeah, now I look like a turkey. And so anyways, finally a couple hens start pitching out, a few gobblers, some more hens, more gobblers. Next thing I know, there's 45 turkeys sitting, right there. And I mean, it was unbelievable. And they didn't land right in front of me, but they just out of gun range, and let them do their thing for a little bit and purred a little bit, purred. That's all I did. Hardly any calling. And just two of them walked up right in range, and within, 30, and bam, shot our birds. And next thing you know, we're headed back.
So you were in the state of Colorado for less than 12 hours.
You
landed it.
We left at 11:45.
So yeah, you were there for
hunting.
less than 12 hours.
Yeah.
Flight landed at 1:30 in the morning.
That's awesome.
And he was wheels up by noon.
Ninja skills.
I love it, man.
Had a boy.
We were there to do one thing.
That's right.
So, but Maggie finished her single season slam, and then that was my. I shot a few Merriams last year, and then shot one the other day. So,
For you. Good for you.
yep, fun to watch. I wish I could go back. That's one thing that sucks is like when you go west, you go west and you're like, all right, I'll need to stay out here for a little bit, hit as many states as I can, and hunt. It was like, well, this time we were west, and it was like, how fast can I get home?
Yeah, the problem with that west stuff is it's hard. Everything is far apart. Oh,
That's one thing that Tripp and I talked about this morning is like one thing that it's hard to wrap your mind around until you go is just how big those western states are.
Yeah, shoot, you can drive from northwest Kansas to, Joplin, Missouri, and you're dark to dark.
Yeah.
The whole day. I mean, it's
Those states are huge.
One of my roommates in vet school, Ross, he and I went to North Dakota to do some duck hunting. And then he wanted to go pheasant hunting. Well, I knew of a place we could go to in Nebraska, like Valentine, which is like 9 miles south of South Dakota, right there.
9-hour drive, 10-hour drive.
Oh, from here to there?
No, I mean from your North Dakota spot to there
Yes.
was like
Yeah.
3/4 of a day.
Yeah. Oh, it was. And he was like, well, the way I'm looking at it, it's going to add. And I'm like, I know it's going to add a day of driving, but like it's going to be like low key driving, whatever. But we woke up the next morning, we're like scrambling just to get to like Pier.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is insane. I could
Yeah.
not believe driving South Dakota north-south is a lot longer than it should appear.
Yeah.
Yeah. It and those days are so long out west. I mean, geez. And those turkeys, it seems like they don't fly up till 10:30. I mean, at night. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sooner than that, but nothing's close. Hotel's not closed.
No.
Restaurants are not closed. Those are hard days out there.
Yep.
Yeah, driving back, there was nothing until we got to like the east side of Kansas. There, I mean, once you get out of Denver, there's nothing going
Yeah.
on at all.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Yeah. good
next-
for you.
Next thing I'm gonna do, I've done out west now, and then obviously a bunch of the southern states and some central states. But I'm ready to head east, and go where the cool kids go.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I've heard the Northeast is full of them. You know, Spence, you care to talk about that a little bit?
There's a few less up there. That's for sure. Man, honestly, the kind of the North, just in general. I mean, we think we got turkey hunting here in the South, and what we have is turkey hunters.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ain't that the truth?
and we've got some turkeys. Don't get me wrong. Tennessee's got them. Alabama's got them. Mississippi's got them. But our population density ain't nothing compared to what I mean, go through the whole gamut. Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, like all that. And then across to the Northeast and up the eastern seaboard. Like,
Yeah.
man, it seems like their populations up through there are thriving.
Do you find like there's like some like real hot pockets and then it's a long way before you find that again, or is it
No, I didn't.
fairly
I mean,
dense?
There may be, and I mean, I can't speak for half the country, but but I mean, the places up in those states I just mentioned that have ag, water, and timber, I mean, have really substantial populations. It seemed like, and I don't know. I'm not necessarily trying real hard to do the Super Slam deal, but I started looking at my notes and I had made a pretty good dent in it just by virtue of going cool places and hunting, and doing fun things, not very intentional. And a year or so ago, Keelan and I kind of decided that we would just, we've done so much traveling with the boys and with Maddie and just with the, trying to get the kids turkeys, that we decided that we'd just pick 1 week out of the year and we'd just pin our ears back and we'd go to a place and see what we could kill between the two of us and try to check off some states. And so not really like trying super hard to complete the slam, but also if I could pick up 4 or 5 states every year, in a 1 or 2 short trips, then try that. And so we scheduled this second week of May and just decided we'd fly into New York and see where it went from there. And we had a buddy that's an outfitter up there and had 2 mornings booked with him, and it was just wild. We were underneath a pair when we got there, and bam killed them and high-fived and took some pictures. And 1,000 yards away there were 3 or 4 that were just burning it up. 1,000 yards the other way there were 3 or 4, and he was like, y'all want to go somewhere else? You want to kill these? You want to, you got 2 more tags? And I was like, why don't we just sit back down right here and yelp at those? And he was like, I don't know if they'll come. I was like,
Have you heard me call?
No, I did not say that. But I was just like, it's only time. I mean, we give it 20, 30 minutes. We sat back down and did it a couple more times there. Next thing you know, here they come. And they ran right up back to the same spot and killed 2 more. I mean, so
Wow.
we filled 4 tags in the first 45 minutes of the trip. And, I mean, they were all 4 just whoppers.
Yeah.
And that started a pretty bloody 5 more days. And we checked off 4 states
Wow.
in 6
Jeez.
days. And,
It's awesome.
man, still tired, but probably the coolest hunt was, a lot of those birds live in open places and fields and things like that, and so you don't get in a bunch of big woods like we have, and in the river bottoms anyways, and but a turkey just sounds different when he's coming out of the woods gobbling,
Yeah.
And just like ducks, I mean, it's just, you can shoot ducks in a rice field, there ain't nothing wrong with that. It's fun, pull the trigger, but I mean, shooting them in the trees is just something completely different.
Yep.
And we roosted a couple birds, or Jordan did, in New York, and there was a big cornfield that kind of wrapped around this little point. There was a big bluff up high that the corn was on, and then it was kind of hay that fell off this side, and this block of woods was sort of made a 90-degree, point, and the turkeys were roosted just inside that point, so they would, in the evening, they would fly up from that cornfield. They'd feed their way to roost and fly up. So, a gobbler loves to fly out instead of having to fly up. If he can do it, he'll get above his tree and pitch out to it because he's fat and lazy, and all he thinks about is girls, like us. And then he can pitch down, either level or pitch downhill. Flying downhill's not hard, just gravity works in his favor. So anyways, we watched them fly up and knew pretty well exactly where they were, and we got in there tight. I mean, we were inside 80 of the gobblers, but we were inside 20 of the hens, and it was a big group of birds. It was 4 or 5 jakes, and I think there were 3, maybe 4 longbeards and 5 or 6 hens, and we got in there ridiculously close, and man, it was just as pure of a turkey hunt as you could draw up. No decoys, no nothing. And I mean, they started gobbling early in the dark and just worked themselves up into frenzy. There was a bunch of jakes that were gobbling there, and so when they would gobble, then the big birds would gobble, and then they would gobble back, and then just for, that went on for 30 minutes of just gobbling and gobbling. You could hear them strutting on the limb, and they flew down, and when they flew down, the hens kind of pitched out just right in front of us. I mean, they hit the ground at about, 25 yards right in front of us. And me and Keelan were on a big oak tree, just the two of us, and then Jordan was sitting beside us. And the hens walked within 3 feet of Keelan's feet.
What?
And they were so close to him that he just closed his eyes. And they were just purring and coming through there, and just doing turkey things.
Being turkeys.
No clue that we were in the world, and we'd watched them come in and out of there, and knew that's where they were coming. So I wasn't yelping at them. There was no need to yelp at them. And a couple jakes, once they got out in the field, then a couple of the jakes pitched over the top of the trees, over our head to them. And I knew the gobblers wouldn't do that, and sure enough, they didn't. They just sailed right down below their tree. And they stood down in this little bowl, maybe 60 yards from us, and there was 2 of them, and they just gobbled, just, and just over and over and over and over, and then they'd strut, then they'd gobble, and they did that for 10 minutes. It felt like 10 hours, but then they just started walking, and they walked straight, same trail that the hens were coming on, and they were at about 25 yards where the hens hit the ground, right down my gun barrel. And I'm looking at both of them. I could have killed them both with one shot. And Keelan needed them to come about another 20 yards over to the left. And we've got a field behind us. We're in the woods. And so, in my mind, we're currently committing the number one turkey sin of all turkey sins. There is a gobbler in range, gobbling, who needs to die.
We're not shooting.
And I'm going to let him walk into a better spot. This is exactly how Spence goes home empty-handed, But I just stayed on the gun, and Keelan's like, let him come. And I'm like, I don't want to.
If I hear a putt, it's over.
Yeah. Kind of like you with that dude that was bow hunting.
They just kept on and kept on. And just, anyways, they just kind of eased up, and they finally got where he was on his gun barrel, the front was on his gun barrel, and the back one was, of course, behind a big oak tree. And so then I was like, let them keep coming. It was like, I don't have a big window. And I mean, they're at 25 yards right now, just, wow. And here we're trying to kill both of them, and I'm thinking I should have just killed both of them a minute ago. We'd be done and toast and whiskey. But they took one more step, and he said, "You ready?" And I said, "Yep." And we 1, 2, 3. And
It's awesome.
that was our third double in 26 hours.
God
And,
almighty.
I mean, they were both just whoppers and just, I don't know, the only thing better than one goblin is two goblin. And they were just, I mean, they had me shook up. And I don't normally get shook up, but just the goblin together down in that low spot in that woods, it was just like a
Ringing.
megaphone, dude. It was just, I mean, they did that. They had all the acoustics in their favor and just wore it out. And, it was pretty spectacular.
It's awesome.
If I never saw another one die, that one will go down as a pretty solid memory.
Pretty up there, huh?
That's cool.
Indeed.
That's awesome, man.
Well, back to
Heck of a week.
the 49 thing. I feel like anytime you bring it up around anybody, they kind of either two things. They either say, "Man, that's awesome that they're doing that," or they say, "Why are you going to do that?" I just want to hunt turkeys, which I totally get it. You just want to hunt turkeys, but why not do it? I mean, like in your position, you look back and you got more than a handful of states, and it's like, I mean, you're 41.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why not try to do it? You can only kill 2 in Tennessee, 3 in Mississippi.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I've struggled with it because I don't want it to be something that's like, I don't want it to dominate my
you don't want to
turkey
be
season.
consumed with it.
Yeah. Not that it's not a worthy thing to be consumed with. I have no shame or ill will towards the guys who pin their ears back and
do it.
They're super slammers. Like I don't. That's okay with me. That's a you thing. For me, it's more of a. I spend so much of my time trying to get the kids turkeys, and that won't last forever. 10, 12 years goes by, and it'll be less than that. But my kids won't need me to take them to kill every turkey. And so I'll have more time on my hands. But for me, starting to think about the states is a combination of two things. First, I don't know what population decline is going to look like, but I do know what it was like growing up and not having access to go hunt turkeys.
Right.
And so I'm not trying to be selfish here and say I'm going to get mine, but at the same time, man, I don't want to rule out anything. I could easily see a lot of these states doing what North Dakota has done and just saying, non-residents are not welcome to hunt our turkeys. Yeah. I don't think that'll happen. But if it did happen, then I'd want to go hunt their turkeys. I mean, but maybe bigger than that for me. It's just, I think it's amazing all the different places that these turkeys live.
Yeah,
that's what I always say is, turkeys take you to the coolest places. You don't know where you're going to end up chasing turkey, and it mind blows me every time I'm sitting behind one. It's like, and I like looking around and seeing just where I'm at. Like, look, I shot one on the Platte River. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I mean there's sort of it's a little bit like the first time you go to Canada. You need to go to Canada and see what 10,000 mallards on dry ground feeding looks like to appreciate what that joker is experienced when you shoot him in a muddy rice field in Arkansas. Like, there's sort of a awe and a respect that comes from that. And I mean, I can honestly say I've shot turkeys, in people's backyards in some of these states that, like they don't live in much woods. It's not, you're not shooting one over a pile of bait necessarily. Yeah. It's just that there's thin strips of woods and like there's utility right of ways, and so they live in these tiny spots. Mm-hmm. And I've shot them in a national forest that was 200,000 acres, and they probably had never encountered a human a day in their life. Right. And like the sheer breadth of the places that they live is, I think it's good for us to wrap our minds around how small we are in this world and how big of a place it is. And we think, I'm not throwing shade at you with this comment, but we think we manage our little farm and our little place, and we think we're doing something, and we're doing something, but it's not everything. You know what I mean? We're not solving the world's problems or fixing the turkey population across the country, we're just maintaining what little bit's ours. It's sort of like our garden, Our vegetable garden is pretty cool. It teaches our kids some things, some life lessons, some hard work, and then we enjoy some fruit from it. But we could go buy vegetables cheaper at the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And turkeys are kind of the same way. Like, you could teach your kids some lessons, shoot the ones here at the house, but if you thought for just a second that what you were doing in your little garden impacted the hunger in South Africa or someplace, you're a fool. And so I think it's good to go and see the world and see how people live and see where the turkeys live and realize that, hey, it's awesome. I'm doing what I can with my place, but man, this thing is so much bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because what it forces you to do is just to think, okay, guy who lives in Vermont or New Hampshire or Maine, he goes to his local NWTF chapter, and he's just as much a part of this game as I am.
Yep.
And it just kind of, I think I've said it before on the podcast with Rob, there's a Mark Twain quote that just says that travel is the greatest antidote for bigotry and narrow-mindedness, and it really is. I mean, we need to get out and see that other people live different than us. They don't fry catfish; they fry walleye. They don't
Big
eat
eyes.
I mean, really, they don't eat
Yeah.
the things that we eat. They don't sleep in the kind of places that we sleep, and they don't have air conditioning the way we have. They they just live different, and I think when you go see that and you experience that, it just broadens your horizons and makes you appreciate your culture and where you live, and it makes you appreciate them. And I mean, that's good for us, because I think we're just innately, as male humans, we're sort of it's like in our DNA that everybody does it the way we do it, and the way we do it is right. And
exactly.
You need to be shown every now and then, hey, you know what? You're not the only person in this world.
Yeah. And not only that, but hunting turkeys in different states will teach you things that you would never learn on your home dirt.
Right.
There's something about shooting one on the home field, but I mean, going back to when you and I hunted with JR in Missouri, and that bird gobbled on the other mountain.
Yep.
He was like, well, Josh and I were here last year, and one did the same thing. It came down from that mountain, crossed the creek, and came up this mountain. And I'm like, ain't no way a turkey does. Sure enough.
And he said this one will do the same thing. It's just a matter of whether y'all want to wait on him or whether you want to go around and try to push him.
Yeah.
And we were kind of running short for time, so we pushed him.
Unfortunately, we zigged when we zagged, and he did
exactly what JR said.
Yeah, he climbed. He went down the mountain, crossed the creek, and was trying to come up to us.
Jeez.
And then last year when I hunted in the panhandle of Texas, the wind was sustained 20 miles an hour, and I was like, well, there ain't no sense in going, because all I knew was hunting in Tennessee. And my buddy was like, what you talking about? They live in this, dude. This is nothing to them. Same thing with Kansas, you know. And it's just
one of the things we noticed, Keelan and I did. People told us that they were like, "Oh, these turkeys, there's not much woods." Like, they'll just lay down in the middle of these fields. They'll just bed down like deer. He was like, "Be careful when you walk up these fields. They'll just be laying out there in them. You won't see them."
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, okay,
Thanks for the heads up.
yeah. Thank you, Captain Space Cadet." No, they don't do that. Third day we're there. We're standing there looking at this little field. It's a little perfect 20-acre field. It's tiny, 120 yards from one side to the other. It's perfect square. And got up on a big rock, and I'm yelping and giving it my best, Josh Grossenbacher stage routine, and just sitting there kind of thinking about how good I sounded, and big rock wall all the way around it, and, nothing. About 20 minutes goes by, and we're just kind of tired from walking, and I don't know why, but I put my binoculars up and just kind of looked across the other side, and by God, there's a turkey laying in the grass right there 40 yards from me. Been there the whole time. We've been talking full volume just like this to each other. Gobbler's head just doing like this, big long beard.
Yep.
I'm like, Keelan, dude's right there,
Whoops.
I had a big tree in front of me, and, it was like, do I just shoot him laying down? Do I let him get up and be like,
yes, you do.
"Get out of here, bird," and then shoot him in the rear end?
Sounded like you needed a cigarette,
That's exactly
too.
how I shot my bird in Kansas last year. We got down in a creek bottom and yelped, and we're talking like there was three of us, and I yelped again and cut, and this turkey 10 yards away just stands up and looks right at us. I'm like,
That happened to me in Nebraska last year, too. I had a gobbler in the middle of the field, he saw me, he just laid down and just stayed there for 2 hours.
But you don't
weird.
think about that, because around here,
Flight
Wheat gets up middle of your shin, and what do you hear everybody say? They won't walk through that wheat while it's wet. And you know what? Our turkeys won't. Those will.
Yeah, they will out there.
They'll walk right out there and lay down in the middle of it, right? Fly down into it. I mean, they'll do different things, and they just learn. I guess just kind of to go back to the whole where they live and how they act. They learn from their experiences, and they don't have a big block of woods that they can go stand in the shade. But you know what? If they lay right there in that alfalfa, they may not have shade, but that alfalfa is 25 degrees cooler than the air. It's wet and it's damp down there, and all they got to do, they can see danger coming from everywhere. I mean, they're fine. Yeah, they're better than fine. They thrive. Yeah. I mean, they got all the food they need, and anyways, it just. So back to the 49 thing. I'd love to be able to say that I completed it one of these days. It's going to take me a while because I got a kid graduating from high school next year and one the following spring. And based on the school's calendar, I have significant parental duties every day from about April the 20th until May the 20th. It's like,
well, go ahead and start putting your Arizona tag in.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And Nevada.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about it, but I'm not worried about completing the 49. I am worried about, I'm going to try as long as I can afford it. And as long as I can factor it in, I'm going to go somewhere different at least one time every year. And and this year I tried Indiana. I've still got a couple states next week that I can try. So, I don't want to consume my entire season with I got to go.
Right.
Got to, check one off, got to go to the next one. Like I don't want it. I don't want to turn it into just like a labor of, completing a triathlon.
Because I think at that point you kind of get lost in it,
Sure.
you're so head down driven to I got to kill 49 states. And then you just forget to take a step back and appreciate what exactly you're doing. Because I'm the same way that you are. I want to kill as many different states as I can. I'm not going to force it. If I get close, might as well. But I just, like Tripp said earlier, I just like where they take me.
Yeah.
I love going and seeing the places that a wild turkey will take me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just true of life. Like, you can get so consumed by where you're trying to get that you miss the enjoyment of the journey getting there.
Right.
Yep.
And so, whether that means you're in Vermont and you're just trying to get Connecticut and New Jersey and New Hampshire, and so you miss how beautiful Vermont is. Like, there's a tension and a balance there. And I mean, it's the same with raising kids. Like, when you got two kids and they're both pooping in their pants and can't shower themselves and buckle their seatbelts, you're just like, God, I wish we could get to, wish we could get past this phase, and wish we could get past. And if you don't enjoy the moment, you turn around and you look and you're just like, Dadgum, where'd
they're driving
the years?
Yeah, I was thinking the years
they're
pulling in the parking lot to come to work.
Yeah. And so you never fully absorb it all, but man, part of being a good human is trying your best to,
Soak it in.
enjoy every moment, to be content with what you have today. And it's so hard to be content with what you have today and still be motivated to have something different or more tomorrow.
That's always the thing I
such a
struggle
hard
with
thing.
being ambitious.
Yep.
Is that, it's hard to live in that moment.
Yep.
But then not be planning at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't do it right or well.
The same balance exists with being gracious and giving. You are proud of what you've earned, whether it's money or farms or whatever it is, and you're glad to give a little bit of it away, but it's hard to live in the content with what you have and willing to give it all away too. And there's no difference between that. It's just a different direction, forward versus backwards. You know what I mean? It's just we're programmed because of sin and this, the fall, that we don't have the ability to enjoy the moment to its fullest, but we should still try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, turkeys in general, if you only hunt the south, or you only hunt the north, or you only hunt your small block of woods, or if you only hunt the public block of woods down the road, whatever it is, you can learn so much about life and how to be grateful and how to be giving, just patience. There's so many things that a turkey can teach you. And
Not giving up, persistence. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Not quitting when it just gets hard. Yeah. Or hot.
Boy, there's a lot of people turkey hunting, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of turkey hunters now.
There really are a lot of turkey hunters, and more. I mean, I'll be. You won't be able to convince me that it's less. I think it's way more, and I'll be honest, they're dang good. There's a lot of good yelping turkey hunters running up and down the road these days.
Yeah.
Call me crazy. I'd rather be sharing a block of woods with somebody like that as opposed to somebody that don't know what they're doing.
I mean, if it's on a day that I'm trying to kill a turkey, I guess I know what you mean. If they run through there 3 weeks before I got there and they've killed all the dumb ones, then I kind of hate their guts, you know.
I just meant more so from the
Yeah.
respect and the appreciation aspect of it, and
no doubt, no doubt. But there was not a single place that I went last week across 4 states where there had not been multiple people hunting those turkeys, private, public, didn't matter. I don't know. I'm not trying to complain about that at all. It's really cool that the sport has grown in popularity so much. But I bring it up just to say that, man, back to the contentment thing. We better enjoy it, and not take it for granted, because there's never been a time in the last, say, 50 years. I can't speak much past that. Maybe 60 years, just like in my grandfather's lifetime, anyways, when there's been a combination of the prevalence of the turkey population, number one, number two, the popularity of turkey hunting and traveling, number two, and number three, the relatively low cost of traveling to the amount of money that people are earning. I mean, we live in a very, prosperous time. I mean, all of us, all of y'all, you're not, you may be broke, but you're not poor.
Yeah, not out.
If you're
out
broke,
of choice.
If you're broke, it's because it's out of
chasing a lot of
choice.
turkeys.
Yeah.
I think
it's not because there's a potato famine and your family has not made $1 of profit in 4 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or a Great Depression or something. Mm-hmm. And I say that to just say that
soak it up.
We better soak it up,
Absolutely.
yes, and we better be careful. Because I'm telling y'all, 20 years ago, there was nobody running up and down the road. I wasn't running up and down the road. Chasing 49 wasn't running up and down the road. All these guys that are doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not throwing shade towards Keith and Steven and any of those guys at all. I'm just saying that we have popularized travel and going and killing turkeys in places. Yeah, it's a cool thing to do. In places that they were not being traveled to and killed before.
Right.
They were only being hunted by their local populations, and so we just need to be, we need to be
some of the cool
cognizant
stuff
of
comes
our
out of
presence.
and stuff like that is license sales.
Yeah.
And that goes back towards,
Yep.
conservation.
Local
and then I don't
economies,
feel like,
gas.
man,
all
you
that
can't
kind of stuff.
turn on a turkey hunting podcast right now and, Dr. Chamberlain's not
Yep.
Yeah.
a
I think
stronghold in that. I mean, that's reassuring for sure.
I think a big reason why, travel and turkey hunting in general is getting so big is because, your age, you're 41. That's not old, by the way. Anybody wondering?
Your
But
age.
When you were
said it
when
twice.
you were my age, there wasn't that many turkeys even here, and especially when you were, 10, 15.
No, they were not 10, 15. There weren't. But when I was, how old are you? 25.
24. Yeah.
Yeah, we had more turkeys here, not in Fayette County. We had more turkeys in Tennessee when I was 24 than we do now.
Okay.
But to your point, my dad and I made maybe 5 or 6 out of town turkey hunting trips.
Right.
We heard about Missouri, and so we took a tent and we camped up there a couple times as a novelty. But nobody thought. The point that you're getting at is that nobody thought about going to another state.
Right.
When I say nobody, I don't mean nobody. I just mean it wasn't a popular thing to do. You had guys like Doc Weddle who've been doing this for years. You had a very teeny tiny subculture of people that were doing this, and they were not even a fraction of a full percentage of the population. The rest of the world has spent their entire life basically turkey hunting for 2 to 3 weeks at their home. That's why turkey season's short. Our selling season's short. I mean, but it's a short lead up, and then it's a short season, and everybody's,
Sitting on the boat.
That's just kind of what turkey hunting is.
Yeah.
And
Well, I guess
we've just recently, literally in the last 8 years, I would say, we've glamorized, hey, hit the road.
Yeah.
You know, make turkey season last 90 days for you instead of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
guess my point to that too was, so the amount of guys that are able to do that now. You know, you have your age group. You know, guys that are in their 40s, and then you got that and in their 30s that grew up maybe just hunting with their dad, learning how to turkey hunt. You know, and so now they've got enough of that, so they want to do something different. Then you have guys my age and Frawley your age who, same thing. We grew up with our dads who may have still been learning how to turkey hunt, and then we grew up hunting around our house. So now we can drive and we have paying jobs. We can go places. So that's for sure at least.
But you guys see guys my age going and doing it, and it makes you
want to do it.
Say,
Yeah,
say what you want
exactly.
to. But I come back
That's
from a week-long
exactly right.
killing spree, and all y'all are buzzing about today is, man, I could go to such and such. And so y'all's generation is figuring out how to do what my generation is doing, except on a
now.
shoestring budget.
Right.
Yeah.
My generation's like, oh, sure, you want a $300 trespass fee? Sure. Bam, turkey dead, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm exaggerating that, but I mean, and so.
But the sentiment still stands.
Yeah, I mean, y'all are just you're the only difference between your generation as a group and my generation is I've just had a little bit longer to earn some money than so I've belly flopped and been broke 6 times between your age and mine. And I've learned how to not spend it all, and I know the value of a turkey. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you and I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I guess there absolutely is more turkey hunters now than there ever has been. But at the same time, there's more people now that love the wild turkey more than there's ever been.
No doubt about
I agree.
it. And
Maybe
there's
not every
and there's
turkey hunter loves the wild turkey, but there are more people that love that bird than there ever has
as
been.
a general rule, that's the most positive thing about what I see right now is that the affection and the care for the wild turkey is so pervasive across turkey hunters. 20 years ago, turkeys were thought about or 30 years ago, they were thought about like squirrels or doves. I mean, it's just like shoot them all.
Yeah.
And it's not popular to think about that anymore.
Right.
It's people are thinking about things like 3 come in, you shoot the one that's not strutting,
Mm-hmm.
or when you go to a state, shoot one and move on.
Right.
Or as opposed to just like. Used to be that you just shot the whole dang flock. I mean, you just, big volley. And that's not popular anymore, and that's positive.
Absolutely.
I mean, we need to continue treating it with care. And
there's a definitive difference between loving turkey hunting and loving killing them and loving the wild. It's like what Ben was saying earlier, like he's killed there's been a couple die on his place, and he's like, okay, that's enough. We still got a week and a half left in the season, but that's enough.
And that's different than the way duck hunters think. You don't hear duck hunters thinking about that. They don't revere the mallard duck the way that we revere a gobbler. They don't, because it's more of a volume proposition. You're trying to shoot 20 or 40 or whatever, and so you don't think about the 1 or the 2. But we're not trying to shoot 20 turkeys in a season, or not in a season. Yeah, we are in a day. You know what I mean? So you don't. It's just a different dynamic. And I think that that's really positive that people are thinking about, how do I make my place better? How do I, and we're going to have to do that. If we're going to all keep traveling and we're going to all keep killing turkeys and we're going to keep, look, we can't throw any shade. We sell calls to these people that are traveling, and we need them to buy T-shirts and hats. That's how we make a living. And so in order for it to continue perpetuating itself and for there to be turkeys when Tripp and Weston and whoever y'all's progeny gets named, we need to not kill them all.
Yeah.
Save some for seed. And
yeah, absolutely.
Anyways.
Yeah, I think me and you had a conversation. Everybody's always, the biggest question that I get all the time is, what's your favorite, ducks or turkeys? And I always give them the Spencer Halford quote, well, God made them in different seasons for a reason. But
your answer to this kind of surprised me.
But I think it's probably because I grew up, in Florida where there was no ducks, but we had turkeys. I've turkey hunted, my entire life, seriously my entire life. And I think I've got to the point where I think I do enjoy duck hunting better. But I love the wild turkey more than I love a mallard duck.
Yeah.
And because of that, I want to take care of turkey. I want to hunt turkeys as long as I can, and I'm going to enjoy every hunt. And I love turkey hunting. I absolutely am infatuated with it. But I would rather see more turkeys, flourish than I would kill as many. Like with ducks, like you're just saying. Like I want to kill.
You want to hang a strap every day you go.
Yeah. And I love turkeys, and that's like you're saying. It's good to see guys, especially guys my age, respecting the turkey and wanting them to flourish, because we're young. Like it, in high school, it's like let's kill as many as we can. Like go whatever it means. Like we're gonna kill as many as we can is every day.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see turkey hunters overall, and especially our generation, grow and mature and be doers and want turkeys to flourish and not just kill them all.
I think one of the things we're going to have to be careful about over the next 10 years or more is we're going to have to, specifically with turkeys and specifically with traveling, we're going to have to handle our national forests with
absolutely
velvet gloves.
Yeah.
We're putting too much pressure on them. And I'm not at all throwing shade at Dave or at the hunting public or at any particular person. I'm just saying that as we increase the popularity of this sport, we're going to have to be really careful about what we do with these vast forests of public land.
Yep.
Because when the seasons, the bag limits, the rules, all those things those are antiquated restraints. And I say antiquated because they were based off of a population of hunters that has grown explosively. And so none of us want shorter seasons or smaller bag limits, but the reality is that the size of the woods has not grown and the size of the turkey population has not grown. If anything, it's diminished just a little bit, still prevalent, but when those two things stay the same and the number of hunters and the pressure goes up, there has to be a relief somewhere. It's what they call mitigation. So if you're gonna build a 100-acre development, you got to mitigate, trees and water, and you got to compensate for what you're taking away. And so, as a whole, I think that what I would really like to see us as a turkey hunting community starting to talk about is just, man, how do we ease up on our public woods, on our national forests?
Yep.
And there's and unfortunately there's shade that gets thrown both ways. You got the public land guys who are like, dude, this is a public gobbler. He's been getting yelped at by 100 people every day, and I killed him. I'm a better turkey than you. So it becomes like this sort of a measuring stick of like, hey, I'm better than you because I killed my 49 on public, or I killed in this state on public. And like, you know what? Is it harder? Yeah. It's just harder because there's no
guarantees.
They've been pressured more, and so. But the truth of the matter is, the only real thing that makes it harder is the fact that more people have messed with him. Number one, and number two, it just takes you longer to kill that bird.
Yep.
Because he's a little slicker, because he's had more pressure, you're going to have to spend 5 days there in a public national forest, maybe. Whereas on a piece of private where a turkey's never been yelped at, you're probably going to kill him the first day you go in there.
Yeah.
And so which one's harder? They're the same.
Yeah.
It's the same dang bird. One's just been pressured more than the other. And so I'm definitely rabbit trailing here, but I just don't hit the hounds, because this is a meaningful rabbit trail, because I mean this.
This is a soapbox. This is not a rabbit trail.
It's important, though.
Mark my
word.
Is.
Mark my word. This is important. In the same way that DU and Delta are seeing the need to quit taking away the WRP and CRP and the nesting habitat up north and how that affects our numbers down south, we got to all as a group go, hey, listen, it's pretty cool that somebody wants to knock on a door and shoot one out of Aunt Sally's backyard instead of marching 5 miles and riding a e-bike into the middle of the national forest and filling the same tags there.
Yeah.
We gotta be easy, man. I mean, and I don't have all the answers. I'm just saying that.
And that's such a hard thing to do, because the right answer is what? Because
there isn't one.
Everybody's sitting here right now. We could preach as much as we want on what we may feel like the right thing is to do, but also in the day, we also want to kill as many turkeys as we can.
Yeah.
So it is tough, and I feel like whenever you bring that up, people are easily get butthurt because they feel like you're calling them out, and you're not. We're just talking. We're turkey hunters are an entire group. We're all the same, and like what you do affects how I hunt, and what you do affects how it affects it, no matter where you're at.
It's all interconnected. And at the end of the day, it's about pressure.
Yeah.
And none of us want to be told that we're the ones pressuring stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is, look at the world around you in your lifetime, in your lifetime, in your lifetime, in my lifetime. We can all think of 24 subdivisions that are in a place that used to have a wild
turkeys.
turkey roosted in it.
Absolutely.
This place has changed since I was here. I remember when
1000%.
64 here was 2 lanes from here to Memphis.
Right. And you're not an old guy.
No.
I mean, so my point is, you just take the sheer number of acres of habitat. That's
what I
decreased.
think is absolutely.
Take the sheer number of
Absolutely.
hunters. That has increased. The number of days and the number of turkeys has stayed the same.
Yep.
You can't do that and sustain that forever.
Yep.
You don't have to be a scientist to
Something's
say
gotta
that. And that's just straight. It's no different than you can't take a gallon of milk and pour it in an 8-ounce cup and expect all gallon of that milk to go in that 8-ounce cup. They can't fit.
Yeah.
And
maybe
so,
it's not something that we lean on the legality of it or wait for, each state's
we have to
individual game and fish. What's stopping you as opposed to us living here and going to Mississippi and Alabama and Kentucky and here and shooting
Their limit.
10 turkeys, Go to kill your 2 in your state, kill whatever, but go to Mississippi, shoot 1. Go to Alabama, shoot 1. Just because they give you that many to legally kill does not mean you got to go there and kill that many.
yeah, that's right.
And kind of like Tripp was saying, like I love seeing them die just as much as the next turkey hunter, but I would rather see them than see them die. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just science and game laws are great, but they're never the final and only solution.
Yep.
Unless we as hunters police ourselves and make conservation cool, and make self-restraint acceptable.
Yep.
We don't have to say cool, but make that the norm instead of the opposite. Like, we owe it to the turkey to try to do right by it.
Yep.
And not just say things like the number one thing, and I am calling out Bone Collector, Waddell, Philip Culpepper, and Realtree. If somebody's still listening, you can post me. I am calling them out. I absolutely despise the argument that because it's legal, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
You know what? Kiss my big white ass. It's not against the law to go sleep with somebody else's wife, but it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's bad for your family. It's bad for their family. You ought to just keep your britches on. Okay. Turkeys are no different. It's legal to shoot a turkey in South Dakota with a rifle. It's legal to shoot one in Florida with rifle over bait. And so if you're going to use that argument and tell me that you're going to, video and make this cool and blah, 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 and it's legal, blah, 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 well, then why aren't you shooting them with a 270 from 400 yards away while they're choking on cracked corn? And the truth of the matter is because it doesn't make good content that people want to watch. And so I'm a soapbox now to come all the way back around to saying I would like to hear all of us stop saying things like, well, it's legal and so we're going to do it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are legal that are not a good idea.
Yep.
And so let's all we revere this bird. We wear it on our clothing. We have pictures of it hanging all over the place. We love this thing. Let's don't cheapen it to say it's legal, so I'm going to do it. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
That's a very, very lightweight argument.
It's more than lightweight. It's freaking disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's a slap in the face to all of us, I mean, look at Ben's place. It's not against the law to ride a four-wheeler down there and see the creek in the evening time, but he's not letting his sweet wife do that because he cares about the hunting experience for a short period of time. So he's self-restraining and self-regulating for the betterment of the bird.
Yep.
And we all do that for our families. We work longer hours or we go to the gym and we work out because we want to be healthy and we want to be there for our family. Well, I mean, we don't say things like I'm not working out because it's not a law. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
the
free
logic
country.
is so bad
Yeah.
with that, So if
now.
anything, and that's kind of what I was saying about the National Forest is like, hey, just because Mississippi opens March 15th and the limits, whatever it is these days, don't go down there and pile them up the first 2 weeks because you don't have anywhere else to go pile them up. Like,
And
like,
definitely don't come to
handle it.
Tennessee and do that.
Exactly. So that's what I'm getting at when I say, you know, I'd love to see us just be as a group. Keep saying we, but as turkey hunters, like, let's ease up on elevating how cool you are because you killed one on public, and as a group, let's be more gentle with places that get more pressure. Like let's be, you know, you want to shoot a double, do it on private. Don't do it when they both come down a logging road that everybody else in the country is going to want to hunt. Like, you know, just think about the next guy and defer to him, and think about the future of the wild turkey. And,
Yeah,
you know,
and don't let your greed and your tunnel vision of, I'm here, I got to kill one on public land, force you into a situation where you cut somebody off just because you wanted to kill him before somebody else did.
And
you know?
it's a tough, like, not saying it's not saying this is how we do it. We do it. We all do it the right way because we don't, you know, like, we don't know all the answers. We make mistakes. We're human, but like, self accountability in all aspects of life matters, especially in turkey. Like, we're talking about turkey hunting. Be accountable of yourself, you know, like, just do it the best way you can. Like, do it the right way. If you know, not if you can, you should do it the right way. Like you're saying, double, like, really, like, what does it matter that you shot yourself 2 turkeys on one thing? Like, if somebody else is with you and he wants to double up, like, do it, cool. But like, what are you getting out of yelping up 2 turkeys, killing both of them, and then they're done? Like,
you can't kill them again. Yeah.
So we could talk about it forever and forever and forever, and we'd never get the right answers. But the biggest thing is, if you can do it the right way, you know, and whoever hunts with you, however you teach them to do it the right way. And before you know it, everybody's doing it the right way. And hopefully we get to hunt turkeys when we're 80 years old.
And by right way, let's just be clear and say we're really not saying there's this purist sort of you have to do it X, Y, Z. Like, I think the range of, you know, acceptable, if you will, methods of hunting is pretty wide.
Yeah.
You know, I think more than anything, what we're saying is think about the future, think about the betterment of the bird and the habitat. Keep those things more important than how big of a pile you can make with dead turkeys.
Yeah.
And let's quit using silly reasons like it's legal to excuse bad behavior.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I can shoot 3. Doesn't mean you have to, you know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Totally.
All right. I'm sure we've pissed some people off. And
They'll be okay.
The door is open. The coffee's hot. Anybody that wants to come talk about it, come on. You can guest on this podcast anytime. You can, but you better bring your A game.
I was fixing to say, you better come on with it.
I want to stand on the side of the wild turkey. You know, I want to kill a bunch of them, but don't hear me saying I love watching those jokers crumple.
Yeah,
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and if there was a
I want to
world,
make sure that I can do that for the next 100 years.
I was just fixing to say, if there was a world where we could maintain and carry the amount of pressure these birds are getting and still have the same carrying capacity,
that'd be great.
Great, you know. Then at that point, if it's legal, go for it. But that's not feasible. You know, it's a finite resource that we are, for lack of a better word, taking advantage of.
You know what the cool thing is? If that ever could happen, we'll know when it's time.
Yeah.
You can see those boogers.
Yeah.
I mean,
it'll be like it was 10 year ago.
And when we have, I mean, not here, but I mean, maybe in, your part of the world. But my point is, when, if the population flourishes and we can get back to there, then shoot, yeah, man, let's.
Heck yeah, dude.
Beat them up.
Stand on them. Yeah, I mean.
We ain't there.
But that's probably never going to happen.
We sell turkey calls and ammunition to kill them with. We want to see them die. We enjoy it. But, man, I really I hope I get to find out that somebody loves me as much as Daniel, Neil, Mr. Toxic loves Mr. Fox.
Absolutely.
I hope somebody's taking me when I'm 90.
Absolutely.
And I hope there's turkeys to hunt.
And like you said, we sell calls and shells for people to kill them with. You can still kill them, but there's a smart way to go about it.
Absolutely.
There's a conservation-minded way to go about it. And it's not going and, putting your hand in front of your face and killing as many as you can and stacking them up, Use your context clues for what I was referring to. I didn't want to use the F word, but.
Well, it's not over yet. So if you're out there,
go do it.
Get them. Good luck. Be safe. Enjoy it. Take it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
it
there goes
really
that
is.
straight pipe 18-wheeler again.
It really is a gift, and we're really fortunate as middle-class Americans to be able to enjoy a hobby the way that we are. Our ancestors did not spend a fraction of the time enjoying hobbies the way we have. They worked from daylight until dark, and they slept while the sun was down, and they got up and they did it again to survive. And we live in a time where we have turned our hobbies into jobs, careers. I mean, and man, that's cool as heck. Let's enjoy it. Let's be grateful for it. But let's don't for a minute pretend like
It's not
this
fragile.
is a life or death issue. And it's not
that's-
fragile. You're right. I mean,
that's-
this is a
That's on the same level of it's legal as, the Native Americans did it. It's like, yeah, well, they were trying to eat to survive. They sell them at Kroger for $20 if it's that
yeah,
way, if that's
and,
what it means.
And they also nearly eradicated them.
Yeah, exactly.
Our great grandfathers didn't have any.
Hey,
turkeys
Tennessee and
going.
Kentucky
I mean,
used to have a whole bunch of elk. What happened to them? They killed them all.
yeah, just like the buffalo.
Yep.
So, let's enjoy it for what it is. Let's be grateful for every day. Let's learn to be content, but still motivated to want more in the future. Are you hot? Are you glad you sat out here on the porch?
It's a nice view.
Damn.
It's not too bad.
It's not. Well, I'm in shorts. I'm not long pants in it or anything.
These are companions. These are not long. There's long pants. There's blue jeans, khakis, long pants, and then there's companions, breeches.
The most comfortable pair of pants you will ever
I'm gonna have to go try them.
No, dude.
I told Frawley this morning, or Jason, I've got 6 pairs of these companions pants. I've only wore something other than these companions pants 2 times since March the 3rd.
Huh?
It's true. I bought mine at
wear 'em every
NWTF, and I
day.
wore them every day for the next 2 weeks.
And I've got a pair of Bottomland ones that I've hunted in this spring. I've not washed them a single time. And I'm telling you, they're the most comfortable they've ever been. They get better every day.
I'm gaining weight so that I can purchase a pair to wear them.
They don't make a 26 by 24.
Hey, 30,
They don't make 24
32.
24s?
You're a 30 waist?
32.
Yeah.
No way. You dang sure ain't a 32 inseam. Don't give me that.
If you tuck
I
in
got
your
long
sweatshirt,
legs.
you'd be a 30-inch waist.
Oh, my
You ain't got
gosh.
long. Compared to what, a spider?
32. Sheesh, I've heard it all. You're a 28 and a half by 30 if I've ever seen it.
Man.
All right, let's wrap this
I was
up.
just fixing to
now,
say it.
now
Now
we're
it's
bird
time to hit
dogging.
the
Yeah,
hills, yeah.
eagle chasing. So, man, Ben, thanks for coming
No,
by
man,
and seeing
thanks
us.
for-
Congrats on
thanks
your
for
birthday.
having us. I appreciate it. It's good to see everybody.
Yeah,
man.
Good to put the headphones back on.
Absolutely.
Good to have you
I
back.
hope Rob listens to this episode and is seriously jealous that he's not here.
I think he would be.
Good. I know he is. He's been texting me the whole time. I've been steady pouring salt in that wound.
That's funny.
Well, we appreciate y'all stopping by and listening in. This has been another episode of the Rolling Thunder Podcast.
Catch you on the next one.
See y'all.
You want to say something at the end?
Bye, Rob.
See you, buddy.
Hey, y'all, this is Spence and Frawley, and just wanted to say thank you for listening to another episode of our podcast. We really, really enjoy producing this podcast and would be really grateful if wherever you get your podcasts, if you would subscribe to the Rolling Thunder Podcast and give us a 5-star rating. Somehow, apparently, out there in internet la media land, that helps our podcast to be found by other people like you. So we just want you to know we appreciate you listening, and we'd like to ask you to subscribe and give us a 5-star review and keep on listening.
And unfortunately, recording podcasts don't pay the bills, so we just do this for fun and for y'all, and we want it to grow as bad as y'all want it to grow, so we could really use your help in doing that.
Share it with a friend.
Yes, right. We appreciate y'all stopping by again.
Thanks for listening.